So hello guys, today's question is about vegan protein. Specifically, when I was doing a conventional meat eating bodybuilding diet, one of the main meals was chicken breast, rice and greens. What's the simplest vegan replacement for the chicken breast? So I come across this question quite a lot, and let me answer you. My name is Weiss and I'm a sports nutrition coach who works with general people, athletes, even people who want to improve their performance and help them gain increased energy, lose weight, improve their body composition and feel great. So let's answer the question. When I think about this is like people, especially people who are new to the vegan diet, they try to replicate their meat-based diet and transition it to the vegan. And this is where it's like shooting themselves in the leg, because we have different macronutrient composition of foods that are plant-based and foods that are animal-based. So for example, if we take meat, eggs, bacon, whatever, we know that the macronutrient composition of these protein sources is protein and is combined with fat. On the other hand, we have plant-based sources, and plants are protein combined with starch usually. So these are your typical beans, legumes, maybe some quinoa, but you know, all these even ancient grains, they are predominantly a carbohydrate source. They are not a protein source. Then we have some nuts and seeds. Specifically, I would mention chia seeds and maybe some flax seeds and hemp. So these are high in protein and relatively low in fat. I would also add pumpkin seeds there to this category. But we see that it's very diverse compared to meat-based sources when it comes to protein sources. So, if we are trying now to translate this chicken, rice and broccoli meal and make it item for item in a vegan world, what we could do is use seitan instead of chicken breast. We can maybe use tofu, but tofu automatically has higher fat than chicken breast. So that could be somehow or a little bit limiting factor there. And then we have texturized vegetable protein and, well, vegetable protein isolates. So this is what we are working here. This is very limiting, so I would steer you away from doing that. Rather, don't try to replicate each item macro for macro. So if you have chicken breasts, don't try to replicate necessary chicken breast or meat in all of your meals. A more productive mindset, or how to view these things when it comes to meal preparation, is when you are transitioning to vegan diet or transitioning and replicating these meals, is to look at the meal as a whole, because chicken breast with rice is protein with carbs. Guess what else is protein in carbs? Legumes and beans. So legumes can have like 20% of their calories coming from protein, but you know, it's about the proportion here that we are playing with. So look at the meal as a whole. We can see that, for example, this chicken, rice and broccoli has about, let's say, 45 grams of protein at about 500 calories. Now we can play with that and replicate that in a different way. We can take tofu, we can take combine it with quinoa, maybe with legumes, you know, and with aforementioned pumpkin seeds or hemp seeds, to create a high protein meal that is relatively low in calories. So look at the meal as a whole instead of trying to separate each ingredient and replicate it, because here you can only replicate rice and broccoli, but trying to replicate these protein sources is like gram per gram of macronutrients. It's like really, it will give you headache, it will make your diet unsustainable, and you will be frustrated with it. So rather look at it from the meal perspective. Another problem that I have with that is that chicken, rice and broccoli is not a very diverse and nutritious meal, but on a plant-based diet we can create really like very diverse, colorful meals that are high in protein. Look, maybe they will not be 50 grams per 500 calories, but who said you needed 50 grams per 500 calories of protein? You don't. You can have just 30 grams of protein for the same effect. Maybe 35, maybe 40 grams, you know. So don't limit yourself by trying to following something without, especially if you don't really understand why they do what they do, and just blindly follow that and try to replicate it. So rather, really, closing statement, look at the meals as a whole. And even one meal is just one meal. You don't eat probably one meal a day. If you do, I recommend you to explore and try to eat more than one meal a day. Anyway, if your goal is just healthy eating, being healthy, having balanced meals with enough protein, then go legumes. With grains, you can switch, for example, white rice for quinoa. You can switch white rice for buckwheat, all these other grains that have higher protein. So for example, white rice have about 7 grams of protein per 100 grams, while quinoa has about 13-14 grams. So there you doubled your protein intake right there. You add some nuts and seeds there, and suddenly you have 25 to 30-ish grams of protein per 500-600 calories. So there we are. And it's not that complicated as it might seem, but it can be new to you. If your goal is really to push macros and increase, for whatever reason, your protein intake on a vegan diet, then for that reason I created this article where I covered this, and there you will also find link to my high protein meal plan, which is a 2-day sample, and it will show you meals over the 2 days for your inspiration, how to increase your protein intake, or basically how to get about 120 grams of protein per 1500 calories. So there is also space for you to add some more meals and possibly even some protein if you need it to, but at this, there is no really a huge benefit of increasing that beyond certain level. Check my protein guide where you will find 2 days meals example that will show you how to get more than 100 grams of protein in just 1500 calories and not go crazy about it. So go download it, and I will see you next time.